You're now watching the political segment. Today's topic is herders, settlement and ranching. For years, nomadic herders have clashed with local farming communities over the access and control of land. The wave of killings associated with the conflict skyrocketed last year, with over 1,000 deaths recorded. Majority of the attacks were blamed on the herders. On June 25, 2019, the president announced the commencement of the Ruga settlement as a solution to end the conflict. Joining me today to discuss these issues, we have Reverend Victor Atokolo, who is the Apostolic Overseer, Word Aflame Ministries, as well as Comrade Anngu Orngu, who is a human rights activist. And calling us from Lagos, we have Mr. Yinka Odumakin, who is the spokesman of the Afenifere Group. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on today's program.
Thank you very much. Good to have us. Yeah.
I'll start with you, Mr. Odumakin. We had reports just last night that the daughter of the leader of Afenifere was killed. The presidency released a statement this morning commiserating with the leader of the Afenifere group. And he said that this was attributed to kidnappers and armed robbery. What's your response to this?
That's quite interesting. The presidency has continued its serious defense of headmen. What investigation have they carried out between yesterday and now to come to that conclusion? Funke was killed yesterday in Ore as she was approaching the junction. She had people in the car with her who are shot equally, who said she was shot until she died. And the people who marched for the bush with the guns were Fulani men. For the president now to be talking about kidnap or armed robbery and rest of them, what investigation was kind of between yesterday and this morning? This kind of people have been prepared even for today.
Yes, sir. So I sympathize, and at the weekend show, we send our condolences to the family of the leader of the Afenifere group. However, what evidence do you have to back the claims that the people who shot Mrs. Funke were Fulani headsmen?
Funke was not the only one in the car.
Yes.
She had a young man with her, and the Mexican man was with her. They were sustained gunshot. And they saw who attacked them. There are evidence that comes on the scene. Who saw those ones who attacked? Aka was on the car attack. This was been attacking people all over Uganda. We are under siege. And you can look at travel safely on the roads, everywhere. So, for anybody to have the colors that have armed robbery, what is this thing of us? So, what is that Nigerian presidency has come to this only part?
I want to bring in Reverend here because the government proposed this rural settlement, rural standing for rural grazing area. They proposed this rural settlement to quell issues like this, to quell farmers' herders clash, but it was widely rejected by state governors and the wider populace. So what then is the solution to this continuous security unrest in Nigeria?
Well, when we talk about Ruga, the way it was proposed by the government, I personally don't see how that can solve the issue. I lived in Benue State for 22 years. I know Benue people a lot. I'm not from Benue. And the feelers on the streets is that it was sneaking through the back. The people were not consulted. And the spokesman for the state government actually said that, so it's not a private issue. So if it is handled like that, it would increase tensions. But any such government initiative ought to be carried out with due consultation and a lot of dialogue. We are not talking, a lot of dialogue, so that all the cards are laid on the table and everyone can see from all sides. Then implementation will have better cooperation from the people. But if it is something that is done by fiat, or it is sneaking from the back and then it breeds a lot of suspicion. That's the
Mr.
truth.
Anngu, you're also from Benue State. I'm very sure you're cognizant with the farmers' headers clash. I was in Agatu in 2016. I went back there in 2018, and I spoke with your state governor, who claims that there's a grand agenda to Fulanize Nigeria, hence his rejection of the open grazing and all of that solutions that the federal government has proposed. So what then do you think is the solution for your people, for the Benue people specifically, who have suffered the brunt of this clash for many years?
The solution, first of all, before we even go to the solutions, as we speak, our people are still on IDP camps. They are facing the worst kind of, they are exposed to the worst kind of, natural hazards you can think of. They are under the rain, they are under the sun. All the elements of nature are against them as we speak. And this present government has done nothing, absolutely nothing to resettle them. There is a commission for the Northeast to resettle those that have been ravaged by the Boko Haram crisis. What happens to those in the north central of Nigeria?
Some would argue that's the responsibility of the state government.
It is, that is an argument, just like you said. But the federal government has a responsibility to the Benue people too. Not just to the Benue people, to those in Plateau that have been ravaged by this herdsman crisis. So before we even go talking about the solutions to those problems, has justice been done? Those that have been accused, those that have even come on national TV, on newspapers, to take responsibility for those killings. So now why our people on IDP camps, their lands in the name of Ruga are now to be allocated to the accusers or to the aggressors? It is really, really painful. It is really, really painful that you have been attacked, you've been killed, you've been maimed. Nothing has been done to those that have taken responsibility for it. Then the government, the only solution the government has is for that same government to come and propose that the land, your ancestral lands, be given to those that have been accused of being responsible, or that have even taken responsibility for what has happened to you.
So how then do we cohabit? We're not going to get rid of herders from Nigeria. They're part of the nation. They're Nigerians as well. So how do farmers and herders cohabit peacefully? What is the solution? The government has proposed ranching, settlement areas. Nigerians have rejected that. What then is the solution? Politics aside.
Politics aside, there is population explosion. Like using Benue as a case study, being an agrarian state.
Yes.
The position of Benue people has been that, see, we are an agrarian state. There is population explosion. We don't have land for cattle colonies. We don't have land for Ruga. The solution is there are vast lands, empty, arable lands in the northern part of Nigeria, places that these herdsmen are indigenous to. This land, with modern technology, can be harnessed. The environment can be made conducive for cattle rearing.
Mr. Adumakin, let me bring you in here. Yesterday, after the announcement of the killing of the daughter of the leader of a Afenifere group, we had so much different opinions on the social media. Popular opinion was from the former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode, who said that all the leaders of Afenifere were going to gather to come up with a solution to secede the country, that the Yoruba people are tired of this insecurity and they intended to leave. Do you share the opinion of the former Minister of Aviation?
Well, observations have done all over Yoruba land. We basically, the African leader today, you'll be hearing from us. But like Afenifere said, the killing of Fufuke is marked, we shall take it no more in Yoruba land. And please, there's a word that's coming to us as I think we are shooting AK-47. When you say a farmer's header clashes, it's offensive.
It's
This is
offensive.
managed by the government to divert attention from the criminality, from the horror, terror, the incident of perpetrating. What you have is herdsmen trespassing on farmers' land, killing them, terrorizing them. That everybody clashing. Please let's not hear that word again. It's so offensive. Clearly on the mother of affairs on that point, your nation will speak at that point time. And we have noted what the president has said, offensive, repugnant, and very annoying to us. That the leader of our business, look, when they started with Kidnap Dulbalai, X-Men in Napoli, they kidnapped Dulbalai, inflicted efforts on him, put him in the bush for 4 days, until the government paid ransom to them. You don't know what leader. You're not going to make it away with this like that. No.
Mr. Adumakin, you mentioned we shouldn't refer to as farmers' headers clash, but the reality is that Amnesty International did a report that there are also attacks from the farmers. So you can't necessarily put all the blame on the headers. So we have to be practical here and objective.
You're a journalist. How many herdsmen have been killed by farmers? Where are their dead bodies? Where are their graves?
As I said, Amnesty International...
There's hardly any community. Who does that? There's hardly any community going there to think. There's no finding grave of who has been killed by herdsmen.
That is not true. I must correct you there. That's... Sorry? Amnesty International, as I previously said, did a report that a number of farmers have also... Are you there, sir? Okay. A number of farmers have also propagated this violence across the 36 states of the nation. So to put the onus on just headers is not factual and it's not practical. So I must correct you on that. But moving forward, what is an...
Let them tell us the graves which are buried. These are not just the falsified narratives. We are not killing, we are killing militant. We are not killing, we are shedding blood, we are shedding tears. I've got that comment on and then telling us the cash.
So what then, sir, is the solution? Because the federal government has proposed this ranches, this Ruga settlement, you know, for state...
Way.
Sorry?
No way to Ruga in Yoruba land. No, not an inch of our land. Anybody that brings Ruga to Yoruba land is bringing war, and they will have it. You cannot allow this. These people are not, they don't have customers and public, so they are taking us. Saying that people, like how? And government is getting nothing. That's what the big Ruga is not possible. We don't accept it anywhere.
So what then is the solution? What then is the solution, sir? What then is the solution, sir?
The solution is that anybody that wants to raise cattle can do ranch. You go to the state government, you buy land, and you live under regulations of the state.
That's right.
Not to go and create federal capital territory all over our land. It's not acceptable.
Let me bring you in here, Reverend. I was in Kigali just a few days ago, and I visited the Kigali Genocide Memorial site. And one of the things that were very shocking to me is that during the colonial period, when the Belgium first came to colonize the Rwandans, they separated them based on their looks. They separated them based on their differences. So the Tutsis usually are referred to the people who had 10 cattle or more, and the Hutus were referred to the people who had 10 cattle or less. So they were able to distinguish them, divide the people, you know, in order to rule them. So that was the beginning of the genocide. That was the beginning between the infighting of the Rwandan people. When I hear the rhetoric of most people now in Nigeria, I become fearful for what our future holds, especially on the social media. There's so much hate and venom spilled between, you know, the people who are on the side of the headers and people who are on the side of the farmers. How then do we create this symbiotic relationship? Because no one is going anywhere. We're all Nigerians. How then do we create this relationship where we start to see ourselves first as Nigerians and propagate this nationalistic mentality that would in my opinion, quell these insecurity issues that we're going through?
I have been a champion for national transformation, national building for decades. I lead an intercessory group that is focused on praying for Nigeria's unity. I mean, my heart was fearing when I heard what our guest from Lagos was saying just now. This is exactly what we are praying against. But you see, peace functions best in an atmosphere of equity. Injustice has always provoked violence in any part of the world. So, yes, the narrative keeps changing. We know there are Fulanis that are part and parcel of the national entity called Nigeria. They are citizens of the country. But when this violence first started, the narrative was that these are not Nigerians. They came in from Libya, Chad, and all that, Mali, and talking about official statements from the government saying we have identified them. The first thing to do is identify those ones that are not Nigerians and flush them out. Then the ones that are Nigerians are already domiciled in certain states where they have, Nigeria, no matter what form you are filling, they will say go and pick local government of origin. Okay? So if you already have a locality of origin, the benefits of government should meet you there. When government uses the muscle of government
state
to overrule the people's will, then you are provoking the kind of tension that our guest from Lagos was talking about. That's exactly what we are praying against, that it should not happen. I have watched the movie
Hotel
Rwanda and the other one sometime in April, and those are gory things. In fact, there was a time I shot that movie just to get people to pray that these things can happen here if we don't pray. So while we are calling upon God, we are also calling upon government to present a face that is fair, because that would calm nerves. And when people are hot, like the Benue people, the Plateau people, and all the other places where there has been supposed attacks, I know, yes, I agree with you that the violence has not been just from one side, but there's overwhelming evidence that more comes from one side. And most of the farmers are farmers' attacks are more of reactions than actions. The herders are the ones that come into the territory before the farmers start reacting to them. But when there is dialogue, not dialogue of one side imposing their will, we can all come to an amicable settlement. I believe even those states that are rejecting any presence of, Fulani settlements right now could become warm and open to it if these people engage them in dialogue. But when the attitude is different, all you breed is tension. And we don't pray for the kind of thing that our guest from Lagos was describing at all.
Most definitely. Communication is key. We even had the chairperson of the Buhari Media Organization here, Ni Akinsuju, last week. And he did admit that there wasn't proper communication. There wasn't effective communication in rolling out the Rugo settlement plan. But it also seems to me that there's a lack of trust amongst the ethnic groups of Nigeria, that no matter what solution is preferred, that people will still have an issue with it. So how do we go about building trust again within our nation?
And just like the Reverend said, the government needs to have a human face. Fairness, justice, equity in carrying out policies and programs that affect the Nigerian people. And Ruga, or cattle colonies and all of that, does not reflect the yearnings and aspirations of all Nigerians. It tends to promote a particular ethnic group over another. And we're all Nigerians, to cry out loud.
Why do you think it promotes a particular ethnic group amongst over the other?
I'm from Benue. Sorry, I don't eat pork. Can I, or a Benue man that wants to rear pork or rear pigs, be given land in Katsina State to rear his pigs? Because these are the very simple narratives and conversations that are going on among Nigerians. That as a Benue man or as a Yoruba man, will he or he be given land?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that is getting a bit testy because now you are crossing into the religious area.
I'm not crossing into the
When you talk about pork and Katsina State, Muslims detest pork.
Okay.
That wouldn't be the right example.
But
we can use another business as an
Okay.
example, but not necessarily a Benue man going to Katsina to...
So the popular argument has been, has the government given grants also to farmers to help them with their businesses? And the answer is yes. Past administrations have done that. This administration has also done that to a certain extent. So I believe this narrative typically, yes, I completely agree that the security issue perpetrated by both the farmers and the headers is outrageous, and a solution needs to be implemented to stop this. However, I see a lot of sentiment, ethnic and religious sentiment, being played in to this whole narrative. So, Mr. Duma King, I'll give you the last word here because we're running out of time. Can you pledge today on the weekend show that the response from the Yoruba community, the response from the Afenifere group, would be a holistic response and it wouldn't incite more unrest amongst Nigerians?
Well, I think was it the Reverend of the Human Rights Man who said that justice is key. You cannot deny us justice. You cannot kill the daughter of a leader. And without any investigation, the president is coming out to say it's armed robbery. What did they steal? That's not acceptable. The evaluation will speak loud and clear. But we have had enough. But you cannot call on the government should behave like a government. Nigerian government should stop behaving like an appendage of the Fulani herdsmen.
Simple.
That's our stance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adumakin, for joining us. Reverend, thank you so much.
Thank you, my
Thank you
pleasure.
so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break right now, but this segment is still not over. We're going to open up the phone lines to everyday Nigerians to react to these issues. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on The Weekend Show. Welcome back. Before we went on break, we were discussing with the spokesman of the Afenifere Group, Yinka Dumaking, Reverend Victor Atokolo, and Comrade Anngu Orngu about the insecurity issues in Nigeria and a possible solution to them. We want to hear your thoughts right now and your opinions. The number to call is 080-777-4770. We have our first caller. Your name and where are you calling from, please? Yes, what's your name and where are you calling from? Sorry, I can't hear you.
My name is Joyce.
Joyce, okay. Can you turn down your TV set, please?
Okay.
Okay, what's your comment regarding the discussions? Hello? Okay, we missed her. Your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel.
Okay, Manuel, where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Cairo.
Okay, so what's your reaction to the past segment we just had?
I was not really following up, but...
Okay, so we're taking calls from people who were following up with the last discussions we just had about the Ruga settlement that the federal government had proposed as a solution to quell the farmers-headers clash in Nigeria. So when you're calling, please turn down your TV set and be conversant with the discussions we're having. Your name and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Basi. I'm coming from Garaki.
Okay, Basi, what's your contribution to the conversation? Okay, we keep on missing. What's your contribution to the conversation, please?
Hello, my name is Abiodun.
Okay, hi Abiodun, how are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Idu.
Okay, what's your contribution to the conversation?
Okay, what I've noticed about Nigeria itself is everybody is selfish. Look at what the spokesman for the Afenifere was saying, it is now that the daughter of the president was killed. That's when he's going to be saying, they've killed our God's daughter. We have to do this, we have to do that. They've been killing many people. They didn't talk about it. They didn't show any action. They didn't come out like this. It is high time for the whole Nigerians to be selfless. If something is happening anywhere, we should just keep quiet because it's not us. We should all come outside and do something about it. This Ruga, this earthman thing has been going on for a long time. Nobody talked about it like this. And again, if the federal government is going to do something about this, there are lots, like what the man on white said, there are lots of lands that are not used. With the technological advancement in the world right now, they could make land conducive for cows. They should rear their cows in the bushes. There's Sambisa forest there. There are lots of land. I just came into Abuja from Port Harcourt. I saw land that nobody's using. The federal government can develop those places and give it to those people, not go into places that people are living. Those cows go anywhere, destroy farms, destroy people's source of income. It's not good. So if you go to where they are not using, there are lots of land that federal government is not going to use here. They should go there and develop it for these people. That's my own comment for now.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. As you can see, many Nigerians are very passionate about this issue, and we want to keep on hearing from you. I'll take the last caller now. Your name and where are you calling from, please?
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. James. I'm calling from Benin.
Okay. What's your contribution?
I want to contribute for the program that is going on. The hardness settlement of the ranches.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I want to say that this Rugaso is not going to be the solution to the Nigerian problem. And I have confidence that even after, no matter the portions of land they give to these people, it will still create more problems. So the best thing is let them go on ranches. Ranches is the best solution at least to solve this headman problem. It's a personal business, and whoever that is doing those businesses, they should buy land and ranch that is just like a man who is doing poultry. Someone who do poultry, he goes to buy a land, rents his land, and do his duty. At the end of the day, he makes his money. So I think that is just all. To say you want to cut out land and give to a particular ethnic, it will delay problems into Nigeria, and it will cause division because the country itself already is divided based in religion and ethnicity. And these are all what the politicians have done for us. So for you to say you want to come and settle a particular set of group of people in another man's land, so it will start problem and crisis. So it's not the best solution.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and comments with us. The conversation continues on our social media pages at Weekend Show NG on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Up next is the sports segment of the Weekend Show.